Hi guys, and welcome to chapter 14. We're continuing on the nervous system, and now we're on the spinal cord itself and the spinal nerves. So here we go. When you think of the spinal cord, I'm telling you here in the slide, it's truly the pathway between the body and the mind. It's what's going to deliver all these nerves to the rest of the body. So it conducts impulses to and from the brain. It also can carry out spinal reflexes. So a reflex is then a sensory input coming into the spine and then shooting right back out again before ascending to the brain. So it's able to do that. And let's take a look at it. This is what we're going to be looking at. 31 pairs. And I'm saying they are mixed. Get my pen back. And what is meant by mixed? It means that they are both sensory and motor. Okay, big nerve made up of lots of neurons inside, lots of axons, and some are coming to the brain and some are leaving the brain. Okay, mixed, they're going in two directions. And this is what we're going to be looking at in this chapter. This whole spinal cord here. And these nerves that are, exiting here at each level of the spine. And then in this enlargement here, we're going to look at what it looks like, what that spinal nerve looks like if you were to dissect it out and how it attaches on to this cord here. So very cool. And we'll keep going here. The gross anatomy of the spinal cord is very interesting in that you think that it goes here from the base of the brain, and you would think that it goes all the way down here to the coccyx, right? And that's not true. It actually ends quite far up, like here. And then beyond that, it's not, it changes in its anatomy, and all it is many spinal nerves traveling together, kind of like a horse's tail. So it's called the cauda equina, the horse's tail. But what you think of as a region that has these attachments where you have one nerve coming one way and the other coming the other, and another section that has one nerve going this way and the other, that sort of anatomical arrangement does not exist down here. Right? So we're saying that it ends there on L1. And then here it's going to look very different. Okay, so in words here, it tapers to a dead end called the conus medullaris at first lumbar. So it's actually the cone of the spinal cord. It does, end kind of like this, like a little cone. And then that cone here in turn is going to turn into the horse's tail or the cauda equina, and that's going to continue on from L2 all the way to the sacrum, right? And that's going to look very different because it's going to have just lots and lots of these nerves that are traveling down, and hence it's going to look like a horse's tail. But the actual spinal cord has ended at L1. Okay, these nerves that are exiting from the cauda equina, in other words, this section here, are the ones that are innervating the pelvis, the pelvic organs, and the lower limbs. So these are just bundles of these nerves that are in turn bundles of neurons, right? Traveling side by side. So they arise from the inferior part of the spinal cord, and they don't leave the vertebral column. So that's my diagram here. It's not like they're exiting like this, one at a time, like you had before, but instead a bunch of them that are looking like a horse's tail. Okay, so here we are again, and the medullary cone, I'm just going to sort of fill it in, would be right there, and that's where that end would be. The cauda equina are all these nerves here that are finally even ending up in the region of the sacrum. Okay, and lower limbs, of course, it's coming down to the lower limbs. All right, excellent. If you were to look at it enlarged, that region, Look, here's the cone, conus medullaris. Okay, and then from it first there'll be some that are exiting how you think of as the normal way coming through the vertebra, and then many of these that are just all traveling down together in the cauda equina. Okay, so we've seen that there. In another view, we're going to have these enlargements. So there's an area that's actually larger, and it's the cervical enlargement. And then this is going to come down about approximate same size. And then you have another enlargement that's the lumbar enlargement. And then the cone, and then the cauda. Okay? And here you see them again as they've traveled together, and now they're exiting between the different vertebrae or the foramina of the sacrum. Okay, a little bit more on that. So the spinal cord actually is not just a cylinder that goes up and down the same sides. It's not. It's going to have regions that are enlarged. So we're going to enlarge something like this, right? And there's going to be the thoracic and the lumbar, the cervical and the lumbar enlargement. And then sacral and coccygeal doesn't have that, neither does the thoracic. But let's go and look why that would be. This corresponds to the sensory and motor innervation of the limbs, right? And then it's going to taper again. So see if this makes sense to you. Let's go back up here. If this is where the limbs are going to be, it's coming out to the arms, then it makes sense that there's a sort of enlargement here because this is coming out to the arms. Oh my gosh, so much wrong with this. Okay, upper limbs. And then the lumbar enlargement here is going to come down to lower limbs, toes here, to lower limbs. So those enlargements have to do with how many of these nerves have to innervate all your appendages. Therefore, it's not straight all the way. Okay, good. I'm going to stop there, and next is we're going to look at how these nerves come in and out, how they attach, and more details on the actual nerve itself, the spinal nerve. So thanks for watching. I'm stopping there.